on the same event that had this panel of crime writers, and they were fascinating, and they were just talking about different things, and they said the thing that they fear most, because they write about crime and some of their descriptions are very gruesome. What do they fear most? Their biggest fear was that the well is dry for ideas. I thought that was really interesting.
The well is dry for ideas.
Does that ever scare you?
Yeah, all the time. I mean, I think that we all deal with trying to tell a unique story. But it's so funny, this actually just goes back, and I keep using people's quotes, but I was reading an interview that Francis Ford Coppola did last week, and he's 80 years old, he's trying to make a big movie, and they asked him, they said, what makes an artist as a filmmaker, like, do you have any advice to young entrepreneurial filmmakers or artists? He goes, well, if you want to be an entrepreneurial filmmaker, that's one thing. But he goes, if you want to be an artist as a filmmaker, just start off with the one thesis, which is this. There's a 1 in a trillion chance that this zygote was created that created a single individual, whether yourself or any of the other 10 billion people on this earth. Understand that everyone has an extremely individual story, no matter who they are, and you can be an artist. And I think that goes back to the idea of the well. The well will never be dry, because every story is individual, every story is specific. And I think, you just have, as a filmmaker have to go out and fight to find that story. It's not always going to come to you, but there's always a story, there's always an experience, there's always a history that someone or something has, and it's your responsibility as a storyteller to go find it and to manicure it and to help that it grow as if it was a flower or a garden until it finally, comes to fruition.
So which would you say you want to be, an artist or an entrepreneurial filmmaker? Because it seems like you almost, the days of the artist, it's almost like you almost can't just be that.
I mean, I'd love to just be an artist walking around with a camera and making it, but we all have to pay rent. But in the end, I don't know, I've never thought of myself as trying to be like an entrepreneur and trying to, reinvent the wheel. I just want to tell stories, and I hope that those stories resonate with some people. And if along the way you happen to be successful in business, that's amazing. We all want a more comfortable life than we have at the moment. I think even the richest people are always looking to make their life more comfortable and make their life better, whatever those reasons are. But I like, I think like Queen and the other two films, I think I have a predilection. I like focusing on people who don't necessarily have their stories told. Not as if I'm not going to go to the homeless guy on the street and be like, I'm going to tell your story. Maybe one day, but I'm just saying it's not saying it has to be extremes all the time. But I like the person, I like telling stories about people that in their small worlds and showing that everyone's world is really important to them, and everyone has their own individual evolution. So I don't know. I guess I want to be an artist. I guess I'd love to be myself an artist, but I think it's a business, and we're all doing. We all got to do business as well.
How do you start a screenplay? I mean, since you love characters that maybe aren't mainstream, and I am the same way. I don't resonate with a lot of chick flicks, and it's not that. It's to me, I can't identify with. It's too perfect for me, and I find myself getting squeamish. Yeah. I like something a little more, some edges around it.
Yeah, I mean, I like broken people because I feel like one as well.
Yeah,
a lot.
I do too.
I like people who are conflicted. It's so weird. How does a screenplay? All different ways. I can't tell you. The biggest part of the process, it's the dumbest thing in the world, but the empty page is the scariest thing in the world. So it's just the way I start writing is I say, I'm a photographer as well, so most of my films that I've written are based off of an image maybe that I've taken. That's kind of where I start a lot, is someone that I've captured through an image. Even if the image really ends up having nothing to do with the story, it's kind of like there's an image burned into my head, and I start with that, and I allow that to take its evolution. I'm a pretty sloppy writer in that I just start writing, and I let the story and the characters guide me, because I mainly write films that are seen by a singular POV of the main character. So because of that, I kind of follow that character and I learn about them, and as I learn about them, a plot evolves. But that's kind of how I start on a film. I'm writing it from the beginning. It mostly comes from an image, and then that image mostly gives me an idea for a character, and then I follow that character, and then the world starts to build, and then I rewrite a lot. You know, sometimes it will come, you know, someone goes, hey, I might, you know, have some money to make a movie. I have a small idea. What do you think? And that idea becomes a giant kernel, or it becomes a kernel that pops, and suddenly you run with that idea because there's a real possibility of making it, and you make it your own. I mean, that's a big thing I've learned also about filmmaking, is you got to be able to sometimes make someone else's idea your own. And that's a really interesting process as well in its own right. But for writing with me, it's the image comes first, and then the character, and then I follow that character, and I find a world, and I find a plot within that character's world, and I go on the ride, and I try to be the first audience member and enjoy that process. I like to write fast. I don't like, I've never, and I mean, this could be also to my own detriment, but I don't spend a lot of time on a screenplay. I try to just write fast, get it out, push it out there, and then start going through the rewriting process. I show it to a group of people that I trust, or, you know, or attach somehow to the project. But mainly, you know, you find yourself, you always need a good sounding board, and it's one of the most important elements of the writing process, and of every process of the film, is having people that you can go, what do you think? Because like, I'm lost. And, you know, kind of finding that nature of people that can give you notes and give you ideas and tell you when you're right or wrong or too stuck. So.
With Queen, was there an image? I know you said you were in a conflicted place and you had to get it out, but was there an image?
Yeah, there was a photo of a woman on Western Avenue wearing a leopard skin coat that I took out of the side of a car.
Wow.
And the film started with an idea of a woman in a leopard skin coat.
And was she waiting for a bus? Like, what was she doing?
I'm not sure what she was doing. It was probably not good.
Okay.
She looked like she
wasn't waiting for
better days.
Okay,
yeah.
right.
It was cool, but I know the image. I can see it in my head right now. And it's actually funny enough, now where I took the image was in front of a church, which is now next door to my office, where I write and edit and stuff. So,
oh, wow.
Years later. But yeah.
How ironic. That's so really ironic. Interesting.
Yeah. So
that is actually really interesting.
Yeah, it is, thinking about it. But yeah, I remember the image, and from that image, but then that image just spurned this character, and then the character I pulled from my life, and there's tons of real life situations and scenarios and people, and then other photos I had taken, I took those, I wrote about those characters, and some of them changed on set, like, you know, everything, the whole writing process is such an evolution. But yeah, it really did come from a photo out of the side of a car.
Wow. Western Avenue in Hollywood.
On Western Avenue, yeah.